Welcome back to Not Just Another Sex Podcast. I am your host, Samaya Burton, and welcome to the final episode of Not Just Another Sex Podcast. I cannot believe I'm about to cry. Wow. I am a ball of emotions right now. But we got to get down to business. So, first things first, let's start off with the adult tip of the day. All right. So, the adult tip of the day is that he said, "You're pretty full of yourself, ain't you?" So she replied, "Show me someone not full of herself, and I will show you a hungry person." Nikki Giovanni. Rest in peace to that queen. The adult tip of the day is that quote, because through this entire experience, through this entire show, I have learned so many things about myself. But one thing that I've learned is how to be full of myself. I have learned how to properly do it, to not do it and be vain or, and it's not about humbling myself. I've learned my magic. I've learned my light. And I think that is very important because if you don't, you will be starving, you will be hungry, and it will show up in your choices. It'll show up in what you choose to accept. And you will often confuse the light that you think is coming from others and from things. You will confuse it with their light, but truly it's your light bouncing off of other things. And if you do not know the light that you offer to whatever you are doing, you will get caught up every single time. So I think it's very important to be full of yourself. And when you're full of yourself, you actually have more space and more capacity to see others and be like, dang, wow, you don't have you not realized that the most confident people actually see better in other people? They're not intimidated by it. They're encouraged by it. They're inspired by it. It is very important to work with people that are also full of themselves first, that are also full of themselves when you meet them. They know the magic that they offer, because usually if they know the magic that they offer, they respect the magic and they see the magic that you offer. And, y'all, I be hearing creaking in this house. Okay, look, it's not right now. I'm recording. Okay, I don't know what ghost is going on, but anyways, all right. So today's Twitter talk is the tea, right? The tea today is that the content house is closing and I'm selling every single thing in it, and that has been an experience. It simply is not working. That's the tea. The tea is that it's not working. And I have really given it so much thought, even when it came to ending Not Just Another Sex Podcast. I think the clarity that I received was that my intuition has felt something has been off for a while. And you guys even saw that when it came to the show. I was struggling to get out episodes because of how much of a toll the content house was taking on me. And then I didn't release an episode after June, right? And what I realized is that I've never been a person that created something that I did not believe in or think like the message or the thought had not been given to me that I needed to do it. I've never created for shits and giggles. That's never been me. And I realized that actually in a multitude of ways. I realized that when it came to re-recording like the Sexual Essentials content, I did not want to do it. That's what I've realized. That's not what I want to do. Why? Honestly, I think that's one of the ways that people get taken advantage of. I went back and looked at the content. And don't get me wrong, it looks crazy, but it doesn't look crazy because it's not like clear or visible. It looks crazy because I was looking a little crazier at that time. I wasn't into fashion, so I was kind of wearing whatever. I wasn't at a weight that I was comfortable with at that time. I didn't know anything about lighting, right? But when it came to the content and where I was at that time, you can see, and the message still stands, right? And I feel that when you recreate something, it should have added value. And I don't think just aesthetically changing the content is all value. I think that it's some of the value, yes. But also, the truth is I think that the people that watched all my videos then have also grown. They are not in those same places. And so they don't just need to hear about these topics again. They need to be involved in the conversation. And so I realized that I don't want to re-record the sexual essentials classes. I would prefer to meet once a week and talk about them with the people that have watched them. And so there was that. A little bit of ADHD tangent there, but you know, for old time's sake. I also realized that my mission with Not Just Another Sex Podcast was almost complete. And that's why I didn't release anything for a while. I just didn't know if I was okay with that, you know, because I love shooting the show, don't get me wrong, but the light was gone. I think that it served its purpose. So at this point, I think we're into the nitty gritty of the show. Closing the content house was one thing, and ending the podcast was another thing. Even though I shoot the show out of the content house, I had already been on pause from the podcast since June. And what I found was that in all these months off, so many things happened. So many things happened. But one thing that I did do during this time was live. I had to go outside and touch grass. I had to go do some hobbies. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm absolutely on a budget for sure, but I had to go live again. I realized that doing the content house, I had literally stopped living, stopped outside of what we were creating with the intent to sell or work-wise. I was not creating anything outside of like my commitments. Like, don't get me wrong, Not Just Another Sex Podcast is fun, but it was also like, it was a responsibility. I was not creating anything else outside of my responsibilities. And once I got a chance to go outside and touch grass and just live, I realized that I had to restructure. I could not do everything. I needed to one, get a job, right? Because the way that I was funding the content house just wasn't working anymore. And like a job in like creative director, production coordinator, project manager, still within the realm of what I do, right? But that really opened the door to everything slowly starting to end, because the responses that I received from taking space for myself or creating in my personal time kind of just showed me a lot. It showed me that I had to restructure my time. And so when I restructured my time and what I have time for, I realized that I do love podcasting. But at the same time, if I'm on a certain budget and these episodes cost a certain amount, and when I have guests on the show, I have to be polite and show up for them, right? And give them the space, right? That's the point of having a guest on your show, to uplift their platform. I'm using the small amount of time and resources that I have to show up for someone else. And though this podcast was absolutely necessary, that is one of the main reasons that it has to come to an end, because there are things that I want to talk about, but I can't truly show up and talk about those things if I have to be courteous of a guest. And personally, just even while I was away, I did receive messages from a number of people, and their inquiry was about their content. Hey, can you send me my pics? Or like, there was no mention of like, hey, I see you haven't come out with a podcast for 3 months. Are you okay? And I realized that these are things that come with the territory. This is not to blame anyone, but I realized that if I have to give the only time that I have for podcasting and I have to provide the resources for it, if I'm going to do that, I don't want to share that. I don't want to share that anymore. I think that I have done enough. I think that the Not Just Another Sex podcast has done what it needed to do. And so I just realized that I do love podcasting and I do love talking to you guys and sharing my story. And so, like that young lady told me before, maybe you just need to have a solo podcast. What I realized is that SE Content House, unfortunately, was built still on some lingering issues that I had with boundaries. And I absolutely take full accountability for that. I realized there were multiple things going on at once. Not Just Another Sex podcast, I believe, was a creation for me feeling stifled. I knew at a certain point that I was more than just sexual essentials. And that's why Not Just Another Sex whatever, was the purpose, because I realized I was multi-dimensional when it came to how I would like to create. And I realized that I wanted people to know I had a story, that it wasn't just sex, that there was intention and purpose behind Sexual Essentials. I also believe that I was hurt. I think that I was hurt from overextending myself in certain ways with Sexual Essentials. And so I wanted to create something safer. And so then I created the SE Content House. It was a place that was safe. It was safe for intimate educators and creators to have a space where they could do events where it might be X-rated, right? But still quality. I wanted to create a space for content creators to be able to afford to do the things. I wanted to create solutions that no one asked me for. And though it was created with pure and beautiful intentions, it was still built on the lingering foundation of Samaya learning boundaries. And ultimately, I realized through the responses that I got that I could no longer do certain things. I could no longer afford certain things. The responses that I got from certain people actually revealed to me that I was doing it again. I was absolutely doing it again. I was exchanging partnership and work relationship commitment with loyalty. And the problem with that is that loyalty is something that people earn. Someone deciding or committing to working with you or bartering with you or whatever is a reflection of you all meeting each other's needs. It is because you all both bring value to the table. But when you are overly grateful for people, you have to be sure that they are also overly grateful for you. And I think it is very important to work with people that already are happy with their own lives. Because if you don't, it will open a can of worms. And I realized that I opened that can of worms not because of anyone else's fault, but because the part that I played in my own karmic cycle, again, of giving away my freedom and my autonomy out of this false sense of loyalty. And I think this is where I graduate from Not Just Another Sex podcast, because Not Just Another Sex podcast has been all about me discovering and sharing with you guys how I have addressed how my childhood has shown up in my life today and how I am where I am. And I think this is where this portion of the story comes to a head. I think this is where the purpose of this show comes to a head. My toxic pattern, my trauma response to my upbringing. And I've shared all my stories with you guys. If you don't know, go check out the podcast. It's not going anywhere. Go to YouTube, go to Apple Podcasts. The episodes will still be there because they are very, very helpful. I've shared with you guys a lot of different ways that my trauma has shown up in toxic behaviors, from food addiction to hypersexuality to my love for sexual education, all the way down to how it shows up in my kinks. But this process has shown me the one thing that I do is bring people with me. I do not give due diligence when it comes to extending my loyalty. I am always so grateful for someone that's willing to see my vision and do it with me, not realizing that they're doing it because I am that girl, because I have earned the ability to offer bartering. I have earned my name. People can put my name on their resume. That is not something that deserves loyalty when someone decides to work with you. It is something that you have earned. And because I didn't recognize that, no one else did either. So what did I miss? What do I keep doing? And I realized that I keep people around and I put them in a place higher than what they deserve in my life. I take people with me even when they haven't done the work to get there, because I don't want to go alone. I realize that peace is my trigger, and that every time that I feel a layer of peace, that I do something to cause dysfunction, or I do something to make sure other people are in the room with me. And I realized that moment right before you fall asleep, there's a level of peace that you have. And right when you wake up, there's this layer of peace that you have, almost like a hypnotic state, right? You're not fully there. You're in between like the dream world and like being woke. And trigger warning, but those are some of the most peaceful moments that you have. But for me, it is not. It was in those moments that I used to wake up with someone in my bed as I was about to fall asleep. It was sometimes what woke me up. And so in those two moments of peace that I'm entitled to as a human being, I was scared. And one of the hardest relationships that I had to address and let go of, or put a boundary up on, was my mother. And that was because, one, that's my girl. I love her. I miss her. And for the longest, I did not actually fault her because she wasn't doing it, right? But the truth is that I liked the idea of having my mother around, because at least if my mother was around, then my dad wouldn't do XYZ. But the truth is that she knew. So yes, her presence may have stopped the boogeyman, but she actually did not. She was not encouraging it, not ecstatic about it, but she did not choose me. And she had to be someone that I left in my past, because that is not safe to my nervous system or to me. And it's not okay. And what I realized that I do is that I extend loyalty to people because they decide to come with me on the journey, instead of being grateful that they're going with me on the journey because it's a good idea for them. It is beneficial to them. They are not just beneficial to me. And so I've played a part in giving too much. And it stops. It stops here. It stops here. And I have to deal with the situations that I have created. And I've never backed down from cleaning up a mess. And so this time is no different. But this time, I'll do it my way. And I won't ask other people to help me pursue my passions. This experience of the Content House and not just another sex podcast has been so eye-opening to me, because I realized that I was bartering to create. I was bartering with people to create when creating is my job. And I had to realize that if nobody else helps me with anything, I should be able to use my skills to administer my voice, to administer my gift. And I went on a 3-day water fast. That's how you know it got bad, right? I went on a 3-day water fast trying to figure out what the fuck. And one of the main messages that I got is, from now on, every message that I give you, you write it down in detail or you record it, period. And I've been listening. And I've been reminded that my voice is my gift. And when I do it in settings like this is my voice playing dress up, but I don't need it. I don't need the lights. I don't need the set. I don't need any of those things. I should be creating regardless of who helps me. And so this process has taught me the boundaries between my career, my purpose, and my passions. And my purpose shows up in my passions and in my career. But if I don't have boundaries between those things, then I will undercharge and have no career. And I will overextend when it comes to my passions and my purposes. And so that's a whole nother story for another day, because that takes some time. And so I want to make sure that you guys know that I'm still here, and you guys will get those stories on my new podcast called The Bankrupt Millionaire. And it's time. It's time for me to share, because the truth is, the way that I became a millionaire is the exact same way that I became bankrupt. And so what I found is that when you're bankrupt in one area in your life, the odds are that you're bankrupt in another, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And so the Bankrupt Millionaire is about me having a safe place to tell you guys all the ways. I want to tell you guys the downloads that I get. I want to tell you guys how I made $1 million. I want to tell you guys how I went bankrupt. I want to tell you guys the part that I played. I want to give you guys stories, scenarios, and not just for the financial area of your life, but for whatever area in your life that you might be bankrupt in, because you might not be financially bankrupt, but you might be emotionally bankrupt. You might be physically bankrupt. You might be sexually bankrupt. You might be intellectually bankrupt. Where are you bankrupt in your life? Because if it's not financial, odds are it's somewhere. And what I found is that how you do one thing is absolutely how you do everything else. And so it's time to take it back. With me creating for me. And me looking for a job. Because what I have learned is that I want to do this every day. I do. I want to produce. I want to create every single day. But I cannot fund that. If I want to do this every day, I can't fund that. I need to be hired because that's the gift God gave me to take care of myself. And so if my heart is tied into that, then I end up giving away more than I'm earning. I realize that my razzle dazzle that I add to things, that has a cost. And if people aren't paying for it, then I should only be putting my razzle dazzle into my own passions and purposes, such as the Bankrupt Millionaire, such as I Am Home, the van vlog. Yes, I have not forgotten about it. I have been recording. I'm very big on closing things out with the integrity that they deserve, because I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys rocking with me and listening to me and showing up. And I don't want to leave you hanging. I can't give you anything that I don't have, but I will always show up and give you an explanation of what's going on as the right that you have, and also just the way that I am, right? In a way that's comfortable for me. And so I want to let you guys know how you can connect with me and stay with me and what to expect going forward. So you can tune in to the Bankrupt Millionaire below. Check out the description box. Not Just Another Sex Podcast will still be there. You do not have to follow a new Instagram page. I will update it to the Bankrupt Millionaire. You will still see clips from Not Just Another Sex Podcast, because you're going to hear me dive deeper into some of those topics in detail, with stories and the work that I did to work through some of those things with actionable steps. You're going to have a new link though when it comes to the audio, and the visuals will still be available on YouTube. Okay, so there's that. Make sure you check out the link below, and then join the Patreon. So all of my projects, all of my creations, I realized that I'm a creative. Just like an artist that comes out with a different album or different body of work, I come out with different bodies of work. And sometimes they will reflect my background of sexual education. Sometimes it will reflect me being a producer or creative director, or it might be from the perspective of me being a van lifer or the messages that I'm given to share. And all of that is still available on my Patreon, but also that is where we can work together. So we meet up there live every week. On Sundays, we meet and we're talking about how to change our lives as a whole. There are challenges every month that we're doing together. I'm teaching you how to read your own birth chart so that way you can actually use it to working on yourself. And it's a support. It's a support group. It's a community. And it's amazing. It's really good. I have been meeting with them over there this entire time that my podcast hasn't been coming out. So it is my first line of community, and everything else publicly comes after that. And then on Wednesdays, we meet over there, and starting January, Wet Wednesdays, because I want a space for sexual essentials to live. I've been navigating that for months. How do I want to show up for sexual essentials? Because I'm not done, but something did have to change. And that's what I'm doing. I want to still talk about those topics, but I want it to be effective. If you watched or learned about sexual essentials years ago as I was doing it, then you're a different person now. And I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk about how you're using these things. I want to give you guys updated resources. But I don't want to just talk to you. I want you guys to talk back. I want us to work through the issues that are coming up for you guys. I want you to be able to bring your partner to these things. And so creating a space where we show up weekly, twice a week over there, is beautiful. So I'm not looking to stop my community at all. I'm just a creative, and all of my projects and all of me will be available there. I am very, very grateful to you guys for holding space for me. I'm so grateful that you guys went on this journey of Not Just Another Sex Podcast with me. And I am so deeply proud of myself for the way that I showed up for the younger version of me, telling my truth and telling my story on this show. I still get people that find the show out of nowhere. And I want you guys to know that I want you to please keep telling people about the show because it's still here. So many episodes still here because they're all still relevant. And there's still things that I want to talk about deeper, but it's time for me to talk about those things by myself. I'm so grateful for every single person that showed up on my show, for taking the time. I'm so grateful for all the voices that I got to shine light on. I'm so grateful for everybody that I got to give their flowers to. But I am definitely transitioning into a space where I'm ready to feel what it's like to have a me in my life. And so all of my creativity and my belief in a good idea, I'm turning it inward. And I'm completely showing up for myself because I want to share with you guys all of this. And so I got to go live it. I have to go do it. And it's just time. It's so time. And I cannot believe that I did this. I cannot believe that I have to sell all of this stuff for pennies compared to what I bought it for. I can't believe that this was a lesson that I had to learn. I can't even believe it. But I am so grateful to know that I could do it, to know that I did it. I am so grateful and so inspired by myself. I am in complete awe of the lives that I have changed, for the people that I have taught. Because I had no idea that I could do this. That I had no idea that I would ever be selling this place. I put my entire life savings into the content house. And 2 years later, on the same month that I bought it, in 2022, I am selling it. I have grown. I have grown so much that even something that I put my entire life savings into started fucking with my nervous system. And I said, no, I did not hold on to it anyway. I am in awe of my empathy and the grief that I have for the relationships that I had to let go of during this time. I am in awe of my growth, that I don't hate anybody, that I don't blame anybody, that I show respect to those that are no longer here in my life, because it sucks when you sometimes have to choose yourself. But I am so grateful that I have come to a point that I'm willing to do it, that I am always willing to choose myself, even when it's against myself. I am simply on a mission to create a life that I do not need a vacation from. And I am walking out of this with things I never thought I could do, things that I didn't even know I could afford to learn. I funded myself literally an opportunity to learn, and I have learned so much. I have learned so much. And the beautiful thing about life is that what's meant for you can't miss you. And it's A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, right? And throughout life, if you know how to get from A to B, you just go from A to B, right? If you know how to get from B to C, you go from B to C. And there are so many milestones that we just walk through because we're equipped to walk through them. But there might be somebody else that was not equipped, and so they're still on a certain step, or whatever. But what I've learned is that when you don't have the tools to get from one point to the other, there is a course that's off the main track that you can take to learn the things that you need to learn. And ultimately, you come back out right where you left off. What I've found is that I didn't have the tools to go into the next part of this life. And that's why I made the choice to do SE Content House. And though it had beautiful intentions, though it is some of the best work I have ever done in my life, it still was coursework. It still was a training track that I needed, because clearly I did not have the things that I needed to know to be right here where I am right now, knowing the things that I know. To me, that gives me a sense of peace because I'm right back where I left off. I knew I wanted to do something different after Sexual Essentials. I knew I wanted it to live, but it wasn't the only thing I wanted to do. And what I have learned is that I'm right back where I started, trying to figure out how do I want to show up in creativity. And I have absolutely no regrets, but there are some things I would have done differently. And I'm going to do those things now. Life literally gives you the exact same lesson over and over again, dressed up completely different until you get it right. And each time I commit to something, it's bigger than the last thing. And it's beautiful, more beautiful every single time. But I had to go through this process to learn faith, to learn how to meditate, and to truly enhance my confidence in myself. Because now I realize that I have to be meticulous when I put my energy towards something, because look how far I went with this, and it's not even supposed to last. I don't want to do this anymore. I would prefer to create. And I've realized there's a difference between being an entrepreneur and a CEO. I am an entrepreneur. I create things and I let them go. And so I've realized the type of career that I want. And I don't know exactly which one that is, but I know the boundaries and the things I needed to hit and do. I need to be able to create, and I need to be paid for those creations. I also need to have the freedom and abundance and time and energy available to still work on my own things. My passions should be something that I can maintain even if I have no help. And so I need both. I need my career for stability, and I need my passions. And I want to get into all of those things with you guys, and I will, on the Bankrupt Millionaire. So please make sure that you click the link below and check that out. And please make sure that you check out the final art exhibit is available on my Patreon. And thank you. Please make sure that you follow my van life content. Please make sure that you check out my episode on the Real Mama Pod about being a van life mom and how and why I got into that. And if you're looking for me to tell my story of the Bankrupt Millionaire, please have me on your show, or give me a ring so I can give you guys the background on that. I would love to start speaking on shows again and getting my life back. So again, if I missed anything, I apologize, but thank you, you guys, for going on this journey with me. I hope that you have come out on the other side a different person than when you first heard this podcast. And if you are new here, please go get your life and binge, baby, binge. All right. I think that is all. So I love you guys, and I'll see you next time. Thank you. I really created something to tell my story. And by the end of it, I walked out the other end bald head and selling the thing that I decided to invest my entire life savings into. It's two things that's true. When a woman cut her hair, she is about to change her life. And if she is bald head, she absolutely got a fatty. Two things that are true. If she bald head, she gonna have that ass. And if she cut that hair off, she is about to change her goddamn life. I can't believe I get to say that Not Just Another Sex Podcast was a project that I did. I'm so grateful and so appreciative for everything that this journey offered me, the way that it changed me, the way that this path has shown me what I am capable of, and the way that it also showed me the part that I am still playing in my own suffering. I am so grateful to everyone that has been a part of this journey, whether they are still with me or not, because there is no way I could have done this by myself. There is no way that I could have learned the lessons that I had to learn if those relationships didn't put me in the position to learn them. And so I'm grateful for every opportunity that was given for me to choose myself, even when it hurt, even when I didn't want to. Ashe.